Welcome to another edition of Inside the Artist with your host, John J. Ruppert. Today is February 25th, 2020, and we're delighted to bring you inside the world of renowned author Emiliano Martins, who has just released a wonderful new book of his original haikus, Daydreaming in Verse. Good morning, Mr. Martin. How are you today?
Good morning, John. How are you?
Congratulations on your new book, Daydreaming in Verse. Please tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it is a book that is nothing but a collection of personal thoughts written in the form and shape of haiku. Of course, haiku being a form of poetry made of three verses made of 5, 7, and 5 syllables each, is a very popular form of poetry that started in Japan way back in the 15th century. And lately, a lot of people are using this form of haiku.
Why do you think more people don't write in haiku these days?
Really, a lot of people write haiku not knowing that they do so. One of the reasons people don't like to set themselves to the writing of haiku is because of the structure of the verse. People do not want to be disciplined enough to write 3 lines where it is almost mandatory to write 5 syllables, then the second line 7 syllables, the third line 5 syllables. People don't want to object themselves to or put themselves under that pressure. They rather write something in free verse that is easier to do and very popular too.
What was your inspirations for writing this book?
Actually, more than inspiration is a line of observations, taking notice of everything that happens around us, people, nature, moments of life where we act or react to what is happening around us. That is where the inspiration comes from.
Do you have a favorite one you wrote in your book?
There are so many I have written. I have written over 1,500 probably. If I have to pick one up, I can tell you that the kiss of the sun opens the eyes of the grass after a rainfall.
Could you read some more for us?
More
Sure.
poems in haiku. Well, like I said, I have written over 1,500, and the book, which happened to be in my hands, is right here. I could open the book actually in any page because there are so many I have written, and for an author it's difficult to signal, to point out which one is the favorite poem, but I'll give it a try. When the sky turns red, the horizon is pregnant by another day. Or another short poem in haiku, the sky is crying and its tears wet my soul. Mud covers my feet. Another short poem. The day may be done, but my verse keeps on seeking the birth of a new song. As you can see, this can go on and on and on because every poem in haiku is a slice of life. It's a picture of a moment in our lives.
Amazing. Want to read some more for us?
Sure. When the sun takes sides, the east loses to the west unless it is cloudy. Or the sun went to sleep and the night covers its face with a kiss of stars. That is something that happened to most of us when we look at the sky and all of a sudden the sky appears to be painted by a bunch of stars all around us. And that is a moment that we poets capture in words, and the result is something like that. Very simple.
Nice. Do you remember where or when you were when you saw your first haiku?
I was aware of the haiku form of poetry, but this particular time, I believe it was in the early 90s, I went to a workshop given by happened to be a Russian poet that came to the Philadelphia area, and this person gave us a presentation of haiku. I knew about haiku at that time of my life, but this individual, this poet, made something special out of the presentation, and I was intrigued by the way the poet delivered all the lines, the verses, the meaning. I was really intrigued, and I believe it was in the 1991, 1992, a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember when you wrote your first haiku?
Yeah, it was just about that time. Maybe 2 weeks later, I was saying to myself, hey, if this poet can do it, I can also do it myself. And I gave it a try, and ever since I have not stopped.
Remember what the subject was about?
Um, it was, I don't remember exactly how it went about, but the subject was about nature, something that captured my mind. I was intrigued by it, and I wrote it down. Something like the skies, or the sun, or the wind, or something that happened around us.
Do you have a favorite poet who writes in haiku?
Um, Basho, which is the Japanese father of haiku. Uh, Everybody tries to imitate him, and nobody can because Basho was who he was. But in Spanish, there was a poet, a Mexican poet, Octavio Paz, who wrote haiku in Spanish very, very nicely. Very nice. I have learned a lot of things from him too.
Yes. Can a haiku be used as a love poem? And if so, please give us an example.
Um, yes, it can be, but it is not usually done because, like I said, haiku is trying to capture a moment in life, even though love is part of life.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, love poems do not work in haiku. Usually, but it can be done absolutely.
What would you like your readers of your book to walk away with after reading it?
The satisfaction of sharing an experience in life that can be compatible to just about anybody's life. Um, the thoughts I pen down in my book are common happenings to just about every human in life. So the reader will come out with, oh yeah, I remember that happened to me, or I felt it that way.
How many haikus do you think you have written so far in your life?
Over 1,500, many more, maybe I'm getting closer to 1,600.
Now, do you find the haiku is the easiest form of poetry to write?
It is easy because it is very short and it doesn't take much time to do a haiku. To write a good haiku is not that easy. It takes a lot of observation, a lot of practice, and a degree of intelligence.
Now, do haikus normally rhyme, or is it basically imagery you're trying to project?
It is the image we capture in words. It is, like I said, the moment around us in words. Rhyme does not have to be present. However, if it is there, it wouldn't bother anybody because rhyme always sounds nice.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that in a 3-verse poem, the rhyme is too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much of a.
Or sometimes it can come across as being forced.
Yeah.
Where can we purchase your book, Daydreaming in Verse?
It is a book that has been online outlets all over the internet. Amazon offers the book. Barnes and Noble online offers the book. Of course, the publisher Lulu.com offers the book, and many other places. If you go to the internet and key in the name Daydreaming in Verse by Emiliano Martins, a lot of outlets will pop up, and a potential customer have a selection of choices to go about.
How did you come up with your title, and did you have any other titles in mind?
The title of the book came almost naturally because even though daydreaming is a word very commonly used, it is a word that needed to be there because the book is about verse. The book is about daydreaming. So, of course, daydreaming in verse came natural.
Did you have any other titles?
Yes, I was trying to say something like a change of thoughts. I was titles for a book is always not a problem, but time-consuming effort for an author.
I'm sorry. What is your contact information for those wanting to learn more about your upcoming events and publications?
Obviously, the internet has a lot of information about just about anyone. I happen to be the president of Pennsylvania Poetry Society, and by going to the site, which is in the internet as well, a lot of information can be found. Also, if you click my name as an author in the famous google.com, I will appear in some form.
Is there anything else you would like to tell your readers about your book of haikus?
Buy it. It's a very interesting option. The reader will not be disappointed, especially if you are into poetry and short poems that can be read at a fast pace.
What are your next books you're working on?
I'm working on selected poems. I have a collection of poetry that I have written, and I'm writing actually, and I want to put it together and clean them up. But the problem is I'm never satisfied with what I write. I'm always changing. I'm always making corrections, and which happens to just about any author. And who knows when I will finish that task.
And with the past year, you've released four different books, correct?
Yes, I've been lucky to put them out in the market. I have written a book about the life of painter Salvador Dali. I have written
And what is that title?
Vulnerable Excellence. Is a very interesting history or story about the life of the great painter he was. And the book has been successful. I cannot complain. But it takes time to get the book introduced to just about everyone. Of course, the internet has been doing a tremendous help. And I was able to present the book in 3 places in the area, which I'm extremely lucky for it. And the book is very nice. I've been given a lot of compliments about this vulnerable excellence. Then, like short after I put out this book, Daydreaming in Verse, which I believe it is a large collection of poems. People are used to, especially poetry lovers, are used to a small book, maybe 60 pages, 70 pages. This one has near 200 pages. It's a big book. But the advantage is that since it is a very short form of poetry, you can read 1 page in 1 minute and get it over with. So it's a balance here and there, it's not that bad. But the book is very interesting.
What were the other 2 books you released recently?
I've written a book about my military days when I was drafted in the Army of Spain. It is written in Spanish. I wrote it a long time ago. The book was put out at the end of 2019. Time flies.
That was a long time ago. It was 1919.
Well, actually, at that time, I was probably writing the manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
But the book was put out some a couple of months ago. And but the book was started to be written way back a long, long time ago. It took me about more than 35 years to put it together. Finally, I decided to clean the pages up a little bit and put the book together, and it came out very nice.
What's the title?
The title is in Spanish, Fuimos de la COE, which is in English, it would be something like we were from a special operations company. And I narrate my experiences within the unit. Some of my buddies from the old days have read the book, and I had tremendous amount of compliments. They did like it. They say, "Oh yeah, you're right." And so it was an experience for me, not just going through it, but writing the book. And now as an author, I feel very proud of what I did accomplish on that book.
And what was the other book you just recently released?
I have written a book about the Philadelphia story of immigrants coming to the city, immigrants from Spain. It is a book which I happen to have with me right now, Spain's Footprints in Philadelphia. And the book is about 2 months old as a book. As a manuscript, it's been going on for a long, long time.
Great. Emiliano, thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you about your upcoming events.
You are very welcome. Thank you, John.
Thank you.